The great asset this area has, economic asset, is the estuary and the activity that is generated around the estuary. That is therefore traffic on the river, the ports. Now we have huge energy investments on both sides of the river, more coming now with renewables, all so much related to water. Well, the Humber's got very close, strong links, obviously, with Northern Europe and Eastern Europe up through the Baltic. So a lot of supplies, crucial supplies, come in and go out. For example, the huge motor car trade, both export and import. There's been a long established timber trade. All of these are crucial parts of the economy, and if there's any breakdown in supply, then that impacts on the whole economy. Oh, we have had two serious problems in the last 10 years. In 2007, the surface water problem due to excessive rainfall, which did a lot of damage to many parts of the area. And then in 2013, the surge, which again caused all of this by surprise. So we're all on the alert now that we know that this situation is going to repeat itself, and maybe it will be more intensely because of climate change. And the government is doing a great deal, the Environment Agency is doing a great deal in getting a plan to cope with the new calculations about flood risk in the future. But now it's up to the business people and ordinary citizens to understand the issue and to cooperate and bring to the attention of people issues of the authorities, issues which they may not have necessarily foreseen.
Yes, the 5th of December 2013 was quite a defining moment actually for us on the Humber Estuary, particularly with reference to our ports at Grimsby, Immingham, Hull and Goole. So we have an awful lot of warning, and we certainly weren't prepared for the height of the surge that did actually materialise on that evening. The worst affected port out of our full port infrastructure portfolio on the Humber was the Port of Immingham, which is where we are at the moment. Essentially, I'd probably estimate that around about 60-70% of our land holdings within the port estate were subjected to some degree of flooding, but of course that varied according to the topography of the land. Well, was it enormously disruptive? I suppose one of the truly ironic things is that a port, generally speaking, is actually a fairly water-compatible piece of infrastructure. We deal with water day in, day out. What we don't deal with, of course, is water levels of the sort that we saw in December 2013. And actually, the physical infrastructure of a port, quays, docks, wharves, piers, roads, railway lines, that sort of thing, that kind of stuff actually survives immersion in water reasonably well. What doesn't survive immersion in water is all the technological equipment that we use, which is placed on top of those pieces of very physical infrastructure. So our biggest vulnerability was actually our power transmission infrastructure. You only realise just how important power is for a modern port operation like this, of course, when it's not there. And because, of course, that applies to all sorts of equipment, from communications equipment to IT equipment to cranes, to lighting, to the operation of pumps, lock gates, all that kind of equipment. All relies on electrical energy transmission, which was something that wasn't available to us as our substation, a lot of our substations actually flooded on that evening. Well, as you can see, we're completely back to normal now. The port is absolutely buzzing at the moment, and this is a port, let's not forget, that handles about 10% of the UK's seaborne trade. So there's an enormous imperative there for us to actually resume operational status as soon as possible after these sorts of incidents. It was completely unprecedented in the history of the port, certainly the modern history of the port.
According to government data, we do expect our weather to change in the future. We do expect there to be more extreme weather more frequently, so things like intense rainfall, wetter winters and hotter summers. Now these small environmental changes, although they sound small, we think the impacts on business will be quite significant. So for example, some of the key impacts we might see would be disruption caused by flooding and damage caused by flooding. We may see an increase in insurance premiums, for example. We may see disruption to supply chains, and also thinking about heat. Workplaces may become too hot from extreme weather, and that may in turn affect productivity. Having a structured approach to business resilience through a written plan will help put all the key measures in a logical order. So for example, the Business Resilience Health Check is a quick and simple and effective method to do that. It's an online tool, it's free to use, and only takes 30 to 60 minutes for a small business to do. The inputs are very instant and quick, and when you do the health check, you receive a traffic lighted report which highlights to you what the key areas are for your business and the biggest risks and where you should be focusing on your actions.